Hello, everybody, and greetings again from New Zealand. I am Mike from the Rewatch Project and ChinStroker versus Punter film podcasts, and I am a dyed-in-the-wool Trekkie who is watching Doctor Who, classic Doctor Who no less, for the first time. So welcome back to the fourth episode, where we'll be looking at the fourth part, the final part, I believe, of the initial Unearthly Child saga from 1963, starring William Hartnell. Before getting into that, though, quick reminder that I always appreciate feedback, comments, and schooling in all things Doctor Who over on the comments page here, or alternatively, you can message me via the Rewatch Project Podcast email, which is rewatchprojectpodcast@gmail.com. A couple of quick things that I've had come in since last time on recent episodes. A suggestion that I got from the A-Tuel, about the first episode, the Unearthly Child Part 1, was if you want to know more about the background, it's worth watching Adventure in Space and Time from 2013. Now, I remember this vaguely. I believe this is the biopic, I guess, or based on a true story TV movie that was done as part of the 50th anniversary of the series, about William Hartnell's role in Doctor Who. So, yeah, I mean, the only thing I haven't seen this, but I do remember it's is it Filch from the Harry Potter films playing him. But I'll take a look at that. Maybe that could be a great way of capping off my coverage of the William Hartnell years, would be to watch that. So thank you very much for that suggestion. And also, Tony's Cupham, Bilton, says, you mentioned the teachers being thoughtful and caring. That's because in the 1960s, teachers were legally responsible for their pupils' well-being as soon as the children left the front door. He goes on to talk about this in more detail, but that is really interesting, isn't it? Is to think about just, I guess, the societal changes that have occurred since this episode was on. Mark Ward comments on this as well, saying, yes, teachers are still in loco parentis in school by law. However, we would not stalk our students nowadays. Yes, that is a great point. Also, in regards to the second episode and the age of Hartnell, Ian Smith, this is in addition to his comments about Hartnell's age being only 56, says, it's great to see another reactor starting from the true beginning rather than the 2005 revival. Yep, keeping it real here. A Trek fan here, currently binging Voyager, which I only watched spasmodically the first time around. Same. I don't know if I've ever watched all of Voyager, actually. I might have to go back and fill in the gaps there. That's probably the Star Trek incarnation that I've seen the least. Bin Rather Heretic says, wasn't Hartnell 55 when he left? That was a consensus when 12 was announced, being a year older. And Ian responds, according to Wiki, an absolutely watertight source, he was 55 in 1963. So a little bit of ambiguity there about Hartnell's age, probably exacerbated by the fact that he was made up, apparently, to look a little bit older than he was. So the H.O.L., apologies if I'm saying that incorrectly, talks about, says, I love how you're enjoying this. I watched the first episode of An Unearthly Child on that first Saturday, 23rd of November, back in 63 as a 9-year-old, and was hooked. So, the H.O.L. goes on to talk a little bit more about Patrick Troughton and some of the later Doctor Who. So yeah, thank you so much for that feedback. So yeah, thank you all for your feedback. If I've missed anything, I do apologise, but I want to watch some Doctor Who now. So I'm up to, as I mentioned before, the fourth part of An Unearthly Child, the final part of this original story. So, yeah, let's watch it. The Firemaker. Yes, there's been a lot of talk about this honorific. I understand there's been a bit of issue with Anthony Coburn's family. I know this episode isn't on iTunes, on iPlayer, sorry. Curious to know what that's about. I've heard some conflicting information about why that's not available. Can't win, can he, sir?
She showed them a new way out of the Cave of Skulls.
Yeah, lawyer up, Doc. Or doctor up, Doc, I should probably say.
It is a bad night.
No.
Who killed the old woman? We'll kill you all!
No, there's no prime directive in the Doctor Who universe, by the look of it. It's nice to see the tide turning towards Zar for a change. I'm Team Zar, you may have noticed. God, they're doing the focus pulls in real time, live essentially, must be another challenge that this production faced.
Take them to the Cave of Skulls.
It's a miracle anything's in focus.
The whole tribe can kill a beast, where one of the tribe would die.
They're discovering communism.
You think they come from all?
No.
I'm
They
not
are
being
a
serious.
tribe who know how fire is made, or they must die, as the old men say.
It's quite the conundrum. I think obviously what we're seeing here is that this character's starting to discover his humanity a little bit. It's very Star Trek, actually. I know that I'm getting the chronology wrong there, but I'm surprised this idea of lessons learned and this idea, again, it's kind of a colonial thing, I guess, spreading values to people. But it's an interesting conundrum, this character scene, because you get the sense that he's not evil, but he wants to lead. He feels he can do a good job of that, and there's this thing that he's got to do. Yeah, it's interesting stuff.
I must hear more things to remember.
Getting memories of
I will speak with them.
being a Cub Scout.
You are the leader of your tribe?
No. He is our leader.
Interesting that he sees it that way.
Are you going to set us free?
I mean, it's interesting because I guess, the Doctor is the firebringer in many ways, not necessarily in the literal sense, but he, in our group of 4 primary characters, is the one who knows the most, is the most intelligent, certainly the most advanced, and obviously, he's the Willy Wonka, the Wizard of Oz, the time traveller who knows the answers, and is educating and leading people, educating these teachers, bringing these teachers along for the ride. So he's very much the firebringer from a technology perspective. So it's kind of an interesting thematic place for the show to start.
Put some more leaves and grass around here.
Yeah, you get a feeling he doesn't really want to kill them. He's just kind of in the position where
We are making fire.
they are where they are.
I do not believe this.
He is the least important because we can all make fire.
The democratization of knowledge. It's like anti-gatekeeping moral here.
Susan, Barbara, blow gently.
Yay, he did it.
Yes.
I would have failed. We would all have died if it had been down to me to create fire. Wow, it's like the kind of the ape score. It's interesting that it's none of our primary characters that are really engaged in this primary conflict. I mean, they're invested, of course, but yeah, very interesting. Very kind of passive. So this is what politics comes down to, inevitably, isn't it? A couple of dudes in loincloths, sweatily fighting around a fire. Tea time television in the 60s. And the pitchforks are coming out. Yeah, he's the daddy now, isn't he?
I am leader.
He's not sleeping alone tonight, is he?
Join together.
Oh yeah, they do. So I remember what a good steak was like.
They're going to keep us here.
The doctor found a stone with a hole in it, and they filled it with water.
Another slight dialogue flub there. I'm surprised it doesn't happen more, to be honest with you. Again, bust out the hand wave. Not important. It's just the way it was. Bizarre. Have you learned nothing about humanity? Well, maybe he has. Maybe that's the point.
Grandfather, look!
It's Ghost Rider.
It's almost alive!
Crafty. I mean, use their uneducated superstition against them, eh? I mean, why not? Yeah, of course, it's not just about heat and the cooking of red meat, is it? It takes away the fear of night. It's a world changer. And I guess a show about time travel, it makes sense to cover this off, this huge event in the evolution of humanity. Love the running technique there. I suppose when you've got limited space, you can't really film people running that much because you've got, it's like what the Hammer movies used to do. where they'd have these really opulent frames, but if you stepped a foot outside of the frame, it's it's nothing. Oh, gotta love the TARDIS. Oh, I already love the TARDIS.
Come on,
Great wish fulfillment. Great, and I've got to say as well, the TARDIS itself. I mentioned before about how when I was a kid, I had a TARDIS Easter egg, and the box was like the TARDIS. And even though I wasn't a Doctor Who fan, just there's something primal about the design of that. Just everything about it, the exterior, the fact that it takes keys and is kind of shonky and wooden looking, but inside, obviously, the bigger on the inside thing, and the design of the sort of the main area that we're looking at here, and the kind of, as I say, the white kind of Kubrickian before Kubrickian was a thing. But I just think that the concept of that is just a real lightning in a bottle thing, and I think that the appeal to children of the idea of the TARDIS, because when you're a kid, you want your own world, you want a tree house, you like making dens in the living room, with chairs and a couple of blankets, and I feel like the TARDIS taps into that some primal need that all of those forms of play service. I freaking love the TARDIS already. The steampunkiness of it as well. And the sound, of course. The sound design is wonderful. So where are they going to go? Where next? Is it going to be like Quantum Leap? We're going to get the oh boy teaser moment at the end.
Oh, how I wish. You see, this isn't operating properly.
Ah.
The code is still a secret.
Where are they? Or when?
It could be anywhere. Dear.
Or anywhere.
No help to us at all. Well, I suggest before we go outside and explore.
Oops. In the danger zone. Like Kenny Loggins. The Dead Planets. Okay. So that was I believe, the end of the first mini-series or series or first story, An Unearthly Child. So, okay. I enjoyed that. It's some of the caveman stuff, obviously, it gets a little laborious, and I think that they're the elements where the lead characters are a little bit more passive. And again, very Star Trekky before the fact. When I compare things to Star Trek, which I will inevitably do, because obviously it's the big other long-standing legacy franchise and also what I grew up on. Obviously, I'm going to stop caveating it with the fact that who started first, But just this idea that the protagonists are participating by guiding other guest characters through their drama that they're kind of visiting is something that Star Trek would do a lot as well. I'll be interested to see how much we actually get into the characters themselves, but I think that this has been a great introduction, because if you look at it as to use modern terminology, as a pilot, I guess, the core concepts are introduced and explained clearly, and with a sense of urgency and excitement. The characters and the performances are fun and interesting and distinct. The aesthetics and the iconography, both visual and aural, are all there. The music, the design, the sound effects, the broad conceptual strokes, and it isn't boring, which is a really important thing to state. So I really enjoyed this. I like Hartnell. I'll be interested to see how the dynamic between him and Ian develops, and whether they soften the character of the Doctor at all. But yeah, I'm looking forward to watching the next episode, and I will be, which I assume is the Dead Planet. I don't know if that's one of the ones that is or isn't available, but I will go back to. Let me reconsult my list here. Yeah, so it's going to be part 1 of the Daleks that I'm going to be watching next. So that should be really exciting. Again, appreciate the feedback. If I don't get to cover it all off on the show, please do jump into the comment section. There's already some good conversation going there, and it's a great place to interact. As more and more of that comes in, I don't know how much of it I'll actually get to on the show, but I'll always try and at least acknowledge everyone and get a little bit of conversation going there as well. And I'll always chapterize the videos as well. So if you want to jump straight to the reaction, then you can do that easily. But thank you so much. And again, please feel free to comment, email at rewatchprojectpodcast@gmail.com. Check out the podcast, The Rewatch Project with Hannah and Mike, where we cover off our favorite TV shows and we do full rewatches of those. They're less reactions, more podcasts, but a lot of fun to be had there as well. And also check out ChinStroker versus Punter. That's the other podcast that I do. Is a video podcast of that on YouTube. So just look out for ChinStroker versus Punter, the channel on YouTube. But I will see you again in a couple of days to discuss part 1 of The Daleks.